Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and I'm taking care of business. Joining me today is Christopher Alexander, president of ReMax Canada. Thanks for joining us today, Chris.
Thanks for having me, Mario. Happy to be here.
Well, let's talk about a recent report ReMax put out, the commercial real estate report on market conditions across the country. I'm going to ask you about different asset classes, Chris, and what's happening across the country. Let's start with industrial. I think it's no secret that industrial has been fairly strong in the last couple of years.
That's been the strongest segment of the market for the whole country, really, and even in the United States. It's a very tight, competitive segment of commercial real estate, and it's easy to see why when you consider e-commerce and how that has expanded exponentially since the pandemic began. And so, availability rates are trending downwards, sitting at about 4.8% in the first quarter of the year, which is down from almost 7% during the same period in 2021. So it's super competitive, and we expect that to continue, especially with stock market volatility that we're seeing.
Okay, yeah, and all you have to do is look across the country, right, and you see how many of these warehouses and distribution centers keep going up in all parts of the country. It's an amazing asset right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk about the multi-residential sector. What's happening with that across the country?
That is probably the second strongest segment in commercial right now. People are really trying to hedge against inflation, and they see that multi-unit rental as a great vehicle to do that, and as well build wealth. For the most part, if you've got a really good property manager, it can be a mindless investment. And we have a housing shortage in Canada as well. So I think, and that's very well known. So a lot of investors are, looking at that as a safe and reliable long-term income vehicle.
And I guess, a couple of factors that may play into that is the rising interest rates, right? That may impact eventually the residential market for home ownership, but also the fact that we're going to get a lot more immigration coming in here in the coming years, right?
Yeah, 1.2 million Canadians are projected by 2025. So they're all gonna need a place to live and to work, and a lot of that's why I'm so confident the retail sector and office sector are starting to show signs of improvement, especially in the suburban markets. And it's very interesting because I've got personal theories as to why the office sector is being hit as hard as it has outside of the pandemic. Nobody's really talking about traffic playing into the psyche of an employee who's used to commuting into an urban center, whether it's Toronto or Vancouver or Calgary. Although rush hour traffic, I've been in Calgary during rush hour, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Other major metro markets in Canada. So, but that's playing a factor on that, because people are thinking, I'd rather work from home instead of sitting in my car for half an hour to an hour each way. Like that's a lot of time you're burning, and you're preoccupied with the road, so it's hard to do anything else.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that office sector. It's kind of bizarre, right? Because as you look forward, do you think that there's going to be a bigger return to office than we're seeing right now? And will that require, more office construction, I guess, in the country?
Well, I believe that the world in its entirety has changed forever. I think the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, or 8 to 6, I think that's really going to be done. However, I'm hearing a lot of reports from different recruitment firms, different magazines and publications, that people once they get back in the office, realize how much they miss being around other people.
Yeah.
And, I'm an office person myself. Like, I like to go into an office. I've got young children at home, so it's difficult to concentrate, especially when they're around. But I think there's going to be a resurgence. It's just going to look a lot different than what we've been used to. I mean, the big buzzword has been hybrid.
Yeah.
But I think the pendulum will swing back a little bit more than most people are predicting. That's my personal theory.
Do you think also, like, just while we're on the office topic, do you think there's also been in the past 2 years a flight to quality where there's more tenants looking for that class A or class AA space as opposed to B, C class?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, certainly in our business or industry with residential real estate agents, if you're a top producing agent that's full-time and professional, most of them want to be in a professional first-class environment. I am curious though, I mean, a lot of what we've seen with the millennial home buyer and a lot of Gen Z that are starting to come into the market on the residential side is they want perfect, they want class A. And the more they come into the workforce, I think we're probably going to see that trend enter that space.
Okay, super then. Talk a little bit about retail. It's obviously been a sector that's been hit hard over the last 2 years because of the pandemic, with closures and openings and closures and restrictions, etc. But the vacancy hasn't been that bad, really, when you look at it. It hasn't. Can you talk a little bit about what you've been seeing in the retail sector?
Outside of the core of cities, Calgary, for example, the market's recorded a total investment volume of 144 million. Strip malls there have been really popular, and private investors. There's a lot of out of province, trying to buy real estate in the province of Alberta. I think it's yet to be told. I mean, it's just thinking from my personal experience. I think there are some retail sectors that are going to continue to have their challenges, and if they don't find a solution for e-commerce or an e-solution, they will likely, not survive. But things like clothing or big purchases like cars, furniture, it's like, I don't know if Mario, if you've ever ordered clothing and then it doesn't fit, it's such a pain to get it returned. And there's a lot of people out there that need to kind of touch and feel. Apparently, the statistics for women buying clothing online, 35% of it gets returned. So, that's kind of a long way of saying, like, I think that industry is going, much like the office sector, is going to look a lot different going forward than what we're used to. But I still think there are certain sectors of retail that are going to continue to attract foot traffic, just because it's easier to look at things in person than it is online. Yeah,
exactly. And obviously the bricks and mortar are still alive and kicking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the last asset class I want to talk about, and it's something that doesn't get talked about very much, is farmland. Is there an appetite out there for people purchasing land like farmland in the country?
So I don't have a ton of data on this, but there was a trend in mid 2020, and it's continued a little bit into 2022. People were buying farms more for recreational purposes as opposed to using them as a business. That's what we were seeing, at least. But gosh, food has become so expensive because of inflation and fuel prices, and I would expect that sector to do very well for the foreseeable future. I mean, farming for fruits and vegetables and livestock are all essential services. So I expect that to, perform well or really well for the foreseeable future.
All right. Last thing I wanted to ask you is just about ReMax itself. Obviously, when people think about ReMax and the balloon in the background, there is they think about homes, and but you seem to have a vibrant and busy commercial sector section of the company too, don't you?
Yeah, we've got very, very strong commercial agents that are doing better and better year over year. I mean, our sweet spot was typically between anything up to 20 million has been our sweet spot, really in that 1 million to 10 million mark. But we're seeing our agents really get into new levels of asset classes, and that's encouraging. But really, Mario, I mean, we're a real estate organization. We're consumer focused, and we want to make sure that we provide accurate information for them, and look to us to, be a news source so that they can make informed decisions that they can rely upon. That's really what we're going after with reports like these.
All right, super. Thanks very much, Christopher, for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Mario.
All right, that was Christopher Alexander, president of ReMax Canada. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, taking care of business. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Take care.